It's Christmas Podcast Day on the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast.
Can't Wait for Christmas is a proud member of the Christmas Podcast Network.
I can't wait for Christmas.
It's time for Christmas music. It's time for Christmas lights. It's time for Muppetvember on the Christmas pod tonight. All shows are doing versions of It's a Wonderful Life, and we're talking very Muppet Christmas on the Christmas pod tonight. To introduce our guest star is what I'm here to do. It makes me very happy to introduce to you author and Tommy from the original It's a Wonderful Life, Jimmy Hawkins. Yay! But now let's get things started on the most remembery, Yule-Log-Embery, pre-Decembery, Muppetvembery. This is the Can't Wait for Christmas pod. Greetings, Yule believers, and welcome to this special Christmas Podcast Day episode of the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast, the podcast all about Christmas history, Christmas traditions, Christmas media, and everything else Christmas. I'm your host, stand-up comic, and man whose It's a Wonderful Life cup has overfloweth, Tim Babb. When the other Christmas podcast hosts picked It's a Wonderful Life as this year's theme, I was overjoyed. Not only do I love that movie, as longtime listeners may recall from our December 2017 episode, but since Christmas Podcast Day kicks off our Jim Henson theme month, Muppetvember, it gives me an excuse to talk about the Muppet version of the story, It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie. But then, by utter chance, I got the opportunity to meet with an actual member of the It's a Wonderful Life cast. You know I couldn't turn that down, so today's episode is going to be a supersized one. We're not going to be doing any of our normal segments like I Need a Little Christmas Now, 5 Golden Things, or Santa Bab's Mailbag. We're going to do 2 back-to-back feature segments. And let's not waste any more time, and let's get to our first feature. Jimmy Hawkins is an actor, producer, and author. He's done many memorable things over the years, but he's perhaps best known for his role as the youngest Bailey child, Tommy, in It's a Wonderful Life. Well, Jimmy's all grown up now, but he hasn't forgotten the lessons of that film. He has a new book out called The Heart of It's a Wonderful Life, How the Most Inspirational Movie of All Time Still Inspires the Spirit.
Dive into the heart of this beloved holiday classic with The Heart of It's a Wonderful Life by Jimmy Hawkins. Journey beyond the screen to uncover the never-before-told stories behind Frank Capra's iconic masterpiece. Experience the passion, the struggles, and the triumphs through the eyes of those who brought Bedford Falls to life. Guided by Hawkins, who once portrayed young Tommy, George Bailey's son.
Janie, Tommy!
Gain unparalleled insights from someone who lived the magic both on and off the screen. Discover how the timeless message of hope, love, and sacrifice continues to inspire across generations.
You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Jimmy was nice enough to join me here in the Christmas Cave to talk about the book, the movie, and the legacy of It's a Wonderful Life. Jimmy Hawkins, thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me today. It's a special show, I understand.
Yes,
today.
It's special. Just celebrating It's a Wonderful Life today across multiple podcasts.
And funny, we should be talking about It's a Wonderful Life.
The book is called The Heart of It's a Wonderful Life, How the Most Inspirational Movie of All Time Still Inspires the Spirit.
Right.
So here's my first question to you. What inspired you to write this book? Because this is not the first time that you've written about It's a Wonderful Life.
Right, but never like this.
Exactly.
Right. Mine are always talking to cast and crew members and what they were thinking. But I just wanted to know that what inspires people about this movie? What are they talking about? Oh, it's so inspirational. It's voted by the American Film Institute as the most inspirational movie of all time. So let's break it down and find out what all those scenes meant that Capra was inspiring people to. And at the end of the movie, I describe what Capra's vision was and what his plan was. But somebody else had a better plan.
Yes.
So,
yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And all of us think that. Oh, this is the perfect plan. This is the way it goes. Not always true.
So you're alluding to how the movie flopped in theaters, and I wanted to ask you something about that, because it didn't really become a classic until after it fell into the public domain in 1973 and started being shown a lot.
Right.
So how long after that did you realize, hey, people are really starting to pick up on what we
Late 80s.
late 80s? Oh, okay. And
Yeah, that's why Paul Peterson and I wrote the It's a Wonderful Life trivia book. I said, people think they know everything about that, but I know a lot of extra things that they don't know about. And we want to do something for the Donna Reed Foundation in her hometown of Denison, Iowa. We used to go back there every year for 25 years to have a festival. And I said, let's write the book and have proceeds go to the festival. Oh, okay. So we worked on this together and came up with that book. Very interesting about that book. We turned it in to the publisher, Random House, and our editor said, it's perfect. It's great. Oh, thank you. Just one thing. I said, what's that? 5,000 more words. I said, 5,000 more words? I don't think there's 5,000 in it. Like what? I don't care. Well, you have any I wish you did more of it? I don't care. Give me 5,000 more words. Okay, so, all right. So, talking to Paul, okay, what can we write about? I don't know. Well, let's talk more at the festival when we go there next week. All right, so we were talking and didn't come up with anything. Now, the kids at the festival that year wanted to know how to write music. We want to know how to write a song. So this gentleman, who was a songwriter, said he would come back and teach a class on how to write a song. He had written "Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree," pretty big song.
Oh, yeah.
So he shared all that with his students. So I'd got to know him a little at a couple of the dinners and everything. A very nice guy. And so we were in the same car going back to the airport that Sunday or Monday morning. He said, it's been great coming back here. Thank everybody for. I said, it was great having you. You were great. You were terrific. He said, I'd like to share a story with you, Jimmy. I said, yeah, sure. He said, some years ago, I had lost my powers of writing. I just couldn't write anymore. And I lived in a big house on the hill with the Mercedes and everything. And I had to decide whether I was going to sell the house or sell my publishing. He said I decided to sell the house and the car and move to a little apartment because that publishing keeps giving year after year. So I thought, I'm buying time. Maybe something will happen to me to make me write again. I said, oh, wow. So he said, my wife and I were sitting in a little apartment, and on comes this movie. Yeah. And he said, we watched the movie, and we were all crying at the end. And I wanted to share this with you because that movie inspired me to write again, and I'm back where I was so many years ago. I was so inspired by that movie. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, let me ask you something. Would you write that to me in a letter, that experience you had? Because Paul Peterson and I wrote the book, and I think it'd be a nice letter in the book. He said, oh, sure. I said, okay. So then when I got home, I went and found out who all was still around from the movie.
Right.
Cinematographer, the writer. And I got in touch with them all. I said, would you write me a letter saying what your experience was like working with Frank Capra on It's a Wonderful Life? And actors and all these people, even people who were great writers at the time for movies and stuff. I have a story for you, Jimmy.
I bet, yeah.
So they all wrote, there was my 5,000 words, and it made all the difference in the world. It was just not what was the address for the Bailey family on Sycamore Street? No, it took their heart of what that movie meant to them.
Right.
And what it has come to be known as. And it just was a beautiful thing. Even Donna Reed's husband, I said, I want you to write a thing, It's a Wonderful Wife, and tell how it was to
That's
live.
a great book title.
Yeah, right. Yes, that alone. So, isn't that interesting, though? That guy's life was touched by that, and he shared the story and gave the 5,000 words to our
So you
publisher,
yeah, you
and
hit the
boom,
word
it was
count.
done, and much better.
But imagine the amount of people. I mean, you do meet a ton of people, but imagine the amount of people who don't get the chance to ride in a car with you and say how much the movie inspired. Like, there's like for him, there's probably 100, 200, 300 more people who have a similar story. Like, I was about to give up. I just happened to see It's a Wonderful Life, and I
Yeah,
was like, you know
I'm
what?
sure.
I can carry on
But that was a great uh, story to tell.
for sure.
You go, wow,
Yeah.
here's a popular one. It's an anthem. Tie a yellow ribbons become an
Yeah.
anthem
Oh yeah.
itself, and to not repeat that or taking that gift away from you, it's had to be scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and like you're saying, people come to us all the time, great stories, and watch it with my parents, and now my kids watch it with me,
Hmm.
and so on and so on, and wonderful.
Now, in the book, you use excerpts from the script to tell behind-the-scenes stories, but we also learn that perhaps your most famous scene wasn't originally in the script.
That's right, not as written.
Excuse me! Excuse me!
Have a hectic day?
Oh, yeah, another big red letter day for the Baileys.
Excuse me! Excuse me!
Excuse you for what?
I burped.
The night before, Capra, I was with him, and I asked him, I said, what was the most difficult scene in the whole movie to direct? He said, oh, that's easy, the one with you kids. And I said, what happened? What did we do wrong? Oh, no, you guys were great. It's just that so much was going on in the scene. He'd lost the 8,000. He's thinking of his brother's coming home. He's going to be disgraced. He's won the Medal of Honor. My family's going to be disgraced. I've lost $8,000. Oh God! And then he's got the kid. Hey, how do you spell this? And the girl pounding on the piano. And he said, and then you, excuse me, excuse me. He put that in there. He always went to humor to break up a dramatic scene. And he said that he tried those things to have that humor going on. He wanted to capture a family really being a family, you know, and those elements. And he came up with the excuse me line because his son always used to say that. It was a running gag in their family.
Hmm.
And then the little boy would go, excuse me. And they'd go, oh, he's doing it again, And then, excuse you for what? I burped. Everybody laughed. So he threw that in. And the night before, my mom would tell me what I'm going to do tomorrow. But that was never there until Frank squatted down, told everybody, Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, stop right here. Then he scrunched down and talked to me eye to eye. Here, you see where we are here on the carpet? Yes. I want you to pull on this man's coat, you know, and say, excuse me, right here. When you get right to this spot, say, excuse me. Okay? You get that? Yes, sir. All right, everybody, let's go. And we walk 2, 3 more feet. Stop. Everybody, stop. Then he come back to me and, talk to me eye to eye. He stoop down and tell me again. And I see you here, you're here. Say that excuse me line again here. And he did that 3 times, and then I got it. I said, okay. So then they lit this thing and shot it. And I asked him years later, I said, I missed a beat. I didn't say it exactly the way. Why did you print it? He said, it just seemed right. Yeah. Okay.
It's weird that you've been holding on to that since 4.5. Like, I want to do another retake.
Yeah, please. Because I knew I didn't do it right. So they'll want to do it again. He said, no, it's fine. And I
Yeah.
asked him why, though. 50 years later, why? Why did you do that? It just seemed right. And, you know, that's where that scene came from. He would do that all the time. He was scouting locations, and they needed a gymnasium for the big grad party in the movie. And so they took him to Beverly Hills High School in the gymnasium with the basketball court and asked him, do you think this will work, Frank? I can make this work, he said. Yeah, I could see us shooting him. And the AD said, see that basketball court? Yeah, underneath that is a pool. He said, really? Open it up. I want to see it. So they open it up, and
So that was just
That wasn't
location
it.
counting. Like I have based on this location, I'm putting this in the script.
Yes.
That's such
it.
an iconic scene.
Oh,
That's amazing.
that's 10 days later. They were shooting that. That was the first
amazing.
scene they did for the whole movie. So now they had to get all the extras. You have to swim.
Yeah, I was like, now you
Others
need
have to
stunt
be
people.
doubles. Yeah, stunt people for Jimmy Stewart to go and Donna Reed into the pool. All that. And he's, I've been with people and they go, oh, gee, too bad we didn't know that when we were writing it. Well, you haven't shot it yet. I mean, you can still change it.
Yeah.
You're there and you see, oh, I didn't know this would be here at this location that we picked. I'm going to write that in.
Yeah.
That's what Capra was. He was open. And that's the way you do when you're following a dream or something. Certain things will come along you didn't expect. Well, be smart enough to go, that's a better idea than I was thinking of. So I'm going to put it in my dream.
Yeah.
So you have to be open up for things, not just, no, don't mess me with the pool thing. I don't want to be messed with that. I'm doing this. We wrote it. And no. He was always thinking, always coming up with business. And when he comes in, he told me, when your daddy comes in, you run over to him and go through his pockets. You're looking for gum or something. Maybe daddy brought me something. He'd always give people business. While you're doing this, I want you to do such and such. That wasn't in the script. And a lot of actors don't say, what I know when my dad gets home, I go through his pockets. I would never ask directors that. Later in life, when I was doing a lot of work, I would just do it. And they go, oh, you keep that in. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You just do it without.
I just do it. I didn't ask, well, could I do? No. You asked me to do this part. It says the words. My rhythm isn't the same as the guy writing it. He wasn't standing here. He wasn't in the car when he wrote it. I saw this. I remember I was doing a Donna Reed show and I was teaching Mary how to drive. And I was at the point where I've had enough of her bad things. She's going to get us killed in his car. And we're stopped at a stop sign. And the line was, well, you can go now. She was just stopped there. But I had another saying in myself, and I looked like at the sign and looked at her, and I said, it ain't going to get any greener, and that's, the direct, oh, that's good. That's different. So I always put myself in it. What would I do in that situation?
Right, yeah. Bring a little extra flavor. Like the whole point is like everybody brings a little seasoning to the
that's
stew.
what you hope they do.
Yeah.
Some work, some don't work.
Right.
But you see it, you go, oh yeah, that's good. So, yeah, a lot of wonderful stories people shared with me for all these many years, and you hope that when you write a book like The Heart of It, you got to the heart of it.
Right.
I mean, you read it. I wrote it, but did you read it and get the heart of that movie? Did you really see that? Wow, I didn't know Jimmy Stewart went to those extremes.
That's exactly what my next question was going to be. Because I knew, the scene where he first kisses Mary, I knew he had a problem doing his first kiss scene since the war.
Right.
And it was a big, he was like, he kept putting it off and putting it off. And finally, Frank is like,
yeah, right. 2 lips, come on, get him going. Yeah. Right.
But I didn't know the scene where he gets married.
Yes.
And he was supposed to drive off.
Right.
He was too scared. Not scared is the wrong word, but he was too, the PTSD and the
emotions were too.
He didn't want to drive on camera. He was worried he would wreck.
He'd wreck it.
Yeah.
He said, no, they're not going to wreck it. I control the traffic. They're not going to do anything. And he just, no. And Capra, whoop, okay, something's happening here. He said, oh, good. I'll just have the cab driver. He would, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, he's very accommodating, and it worked better really than him driving himself.
Yeah, I'm sure the guy who played the cab driver was like, another scene.
Oh yeah, good, another day. Yeah, Frank Phelan, great actor. Everybody tells me they couldn't have gotten better people for each individual part. It was just right.
The kid who played young George Bailey,
Bobby Anderson.
that scene with where Mr. Gower slaps him and makes me cry every time. Like I was describing it to somebody, I couldn't even get through describing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna cry. Just
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah. Right. And we learned years later by me finding him, all these people, that the old man Gower part was a method actor. He went out and got drunk
Oh,
during lunch and played the scene drunk. And he really hit him and everything. He said afterwards, "I'm sorry if I, God," And we
that
found
explains the
out from
authentic
Bobby
habits.
Anderson that he was really drunk when he did that scene.
Yeah,
He was a method actor.
I guess.
Yeah. So, there's another story.
Yeah.
Now, who's going to learn that? Who's going to know that? But it makes a great little story.
Yeah, it's like
all these different scenes.
Exactly. Yeah. One other thing I didn't know. This is sort of the more of the movie's legacy than the movie itself. Is the It's a Wonderful Life Museum that does the festival.
Yes.
That partners with Habitat for Humanity, and you and the kids reenact the bread, salt, wine.
Right. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I was like, when I read that, I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah,
like it's
it
real.
is.
It's a wonderful.
Well, there was
George Bailey,
a guy in town who owned like a Bailey building and loan. He had his own bank in Seneca Falls, New York, where this museum is, and it's the home of women's rights. Susan B. Anthony started women's rights in that town.
Okay.
So there's a big national museum for that.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy every year gave a loan to a young family, and then we celebrated it while we were back there, and they opened up the house for the family and for whoever was there to go through the house and see this young family with these children who were going to get a good start and get their own house.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they couldn't get a loan from a regular bank, but through this bank they did. And the guy has died since. And I just look forward to doing that and seeing this happy family, a young family, 20 some odd years of age with their own home. And
Mm-hmm.
they had 3 or 4 kids. And, every year they gave it to a different family that really needed something like that. And they needed somebody to, oversee it and make those monies available and trusting the family. So it was just be great. And I just shared that with everybody to let them know I enjoyed doing that, and so did Zuzu and Janie, Carol and Grimes and Carol Coombs. We 3 loved doing that, and that was kind of a highlight for me.
Yeah,
I like giving back, not just going there, meeting people and signing an autograph or something. It's more than that, and I want it to be more. So that's what makes this thing so much fun, because people want to talk about It's Wonderful Life. They want to know, oh my God, somebody's still alive from the movie? Oh, well, tell me about it. Or what was it like? And so this book will live forever.
Yeah.
This book, it really tells things that nobody knows or never figured out or even thought about. I mean, Jimmy Stewart, when he did Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and he's got all those letters telling him, stop what you're doing, he couldn't get it. These are not my people. What he could dig down and find out what that character, Mr. Smith, thought at that time. He could pull on something in Jimmy Stewart's life that disappointed him, maybe, and he could dig down. But nobody could have dug down with George Bailey. There's insurmountable things. When your mother says she doesn't know who you are and get out of here, and you run down that lane into that big close-up Capra directed, that's great direction, and filled that picture with Jimmy Stewart, and you saw in his eyes, oh my God, where is this man gone to get that look in his eyes? It told you everything. It scared you.
Right.
You go, where did he dig down? Well, he was on that bomb his bombardier pilot
In World War
in
II,
World
yeah.
War II, seeing his crew get shot and killed by them coming by, bum, and he dug down there, and he took it personally. They died because I should have maneuvered different. Whatever we come up with,
Yeah.
what if I could have done this or done that? Where? So he dug down there and went there, and Capra knew I either got it or I didn't.
Right.
So, but he knew he had it. And that's why he wanted, when he was at the bar praying to God, he just was on a full shot. And he saw while he was doing it, oh, I should be pushing in on him. So, okay, that was great, great. Jimmy, could you do it again? Because he wanted to push in.
Mhm.
He said, no. Well, no, it's just no. Uh-oh. Whoop, whoop. This isn't like him. So in post-production, he did it.
Yeah.
He showed it again and then put another camera, moved in just enough to punch that up to really, this is a moment this man's going through.
Right.
And I want to get a little closer. I want to feel I'm really capturing what George Bailey is thinking. And he's down. He's really down.
Yeah.
So, and last year at the breakfast, there was a Zuzu breakfast because she's been going back to this town for 20 some odd years. She started signing autographs in Clarence Ice Cream Parlor 20 some odd years ago. And it's built to this, a museum, all this, just because she decided to go to this town that supposedly was the stand-in for Bedford Falls.
Right. Yeah, the inspiration
Yeah,
type thing.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. I do appreciate you spending so much time with us this morning. I do want to ask because today is Christmas podcast day, and a bunch of different podcasts are talking about different versions of It's a Wonderful Life. Later on in this episode, we'll be talking about the Muppet version called It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite adaptation, excluding Merry Christmas, George Bailey?
No, I respect the original, and I like to see other things, whether it's Saturday Night Live. It just shows everybody how popular it is, and people. I mean, I took it to a TV show. There was a TV show on the air, and a friend of mine was one of the writers on it. And I said, I'd like to. We're doing a thing for Target stores, and your show is about a TV station, and I think the Bailey kids should be on your show promoting something in town that brought us to your show. It turned out they did a takeoff.
Oh, they'd already done It's Wonderful.
No.
Oh, no?
No.
They did your idea, but without you?
Without us. Yeah, they said the star of the show becomes George Bailey.
Oh.
And has trouble and everything. I said, but it's so unique to have us on the tour and do it differently. But it didn't. But they did do It's a Wonderful Life. So that's all right.
So that's your least favorite adaptation, I guess.
No, that was fine.
It's your idea.
They're doing it.
Right.
Say a big TV show did it. All these people that I suggested, it carries the name.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Get it out there. Get the message. And people say, well, what do you think of color? I said, look, if it takes somebody to make it polka dotted, make it in polka dots so they get the message, Jimmy Stewart was telling people, well, it looked like Walt Disney threw up on it. Yeah. And you go, wow, okay. But did you like it? So anyway, it's just get the message. We're all important. We all can make a difference. One man can make a difference, and you're that person that I'm talking to in that book. If that book only sells one book and somebody is moved by it, then it was okay to write the book, and it was worth it, the time and effort. That's it. It's the message. Get it.
Yeah.
It's a great message. It's something everybody should try to live by.
Yeah, the Muppet one ends with a song called Everyone Matters.
Yeah, I took it to the Muppets, too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I said, Muppets could be the thing. Took it to Disney. Mickey could be George Bailey, and Minnie could be Donna Reed, and the three little dwarfs could be the Bailey kids. Yeah. And, I told them all this. And they weren't willing. They didn't. But like I say, I meet with people. I produce other kind of movies, but let's do this one. Now I wrote the book. It's a Wonderful Life for Kids. Well, some company I pitched it to wanted to do it as an animated movie, but they didn't want to put the right kind of money. They want to do a kind of a cheap, quick version. I said, I don't want to. No.
Yeah.
No, we'll do it right or not. So, but like I say, that book, they said, well, we've offered you a lot of money. I said, yeah, but the idea will never go away. Somebody will treat it right, and you'll put the right kind of money behind it. Just not just my money, but the money to make it look important.
Right, yeah.
Not something. So, we'll see. Somebody will do it one day. It's a Wonderful Life for Kids.
But the current book,
yeah,
The Heart of It's a Wonderful Life, available now. I have 2 copies.
Yeah, you do. Look at that. Wow. So I know you bought them, didn't you?
Well, one your company's, the other, my mom was like, I can't wait. I'm buying it now.
Okay, great. Yeah. Amazon is really great. It gets you to right away.
That's exactly what happened.
And yeah, so it's a great book. It says a lot more. Like I told you, I couldn't make it through parts, and I wrote it. Yeah. It touched my heart like it touched yours when you were, thinking of scenes and
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it does. It's great. It's just one more thing. Know that you're important.
Yes.
We're all important. Don't commit suicide or anything. And like I was telling you about having the breakfast with the Zuzu's breakfast, the head of the suicide was sitting next to me. And so I asked him when I did this, I wanted to make suicide a part of the movie, which is a big part. And how many people were committing suicide in 1946, and how many are doing it today that have watched the movie? And he wrote a whole thing about how important that movie has been to stop suicide, and the different people, as I write in the book, who said, I didn't commit suicide because I saw the movie and I saw my worth.
Yeah.
That I owed it to the human race not to do that.
Yeah.
Because I can touch lives. And so it was funny that they sat me next to this person.
I mean, yeah, the effect that art and specifically this movie has on people.
Yeah.
And like it's like a really high concept way, like, it's like almost a Twilight Zone plot of seeing the Marvel movies where they're going to different multiverses, like see a world without you in it.
Yeah.
But it's all for a simple message. The world is better with you in it than without you in it.
Oh, and it couldn't function without you.
Exactly.
It would fall off its axis.
Right.
Because you had an important part to touch. Look at Frank Capra. My God, what he started. If there was no Frank Capra, you go, wow.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been, one of the scripts was he was a politician. You just can't see it. He's just a family man, regular guy trying to get together. The common man, that's who Capra spoke to all the time. My people, they'll love this. And they did they didn't need the message after World War II, but they needed it 30 years later. They were feeling, I don't mean anything.
Yeah.
And they saw that picture, and that picture tells everybody, I do mean something. I may be this job or menial, you think, but I'm just as important as that guy that's got $50 zillion. I can change lives too.
Yes.
So, and for the better.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. And again, the book is called The Heart of It's a Wonderful Life, How the Most Inspirational Movie of All Time Still Inspires the Spirit, and it's available now. Jimmy Hawkins, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for doing this and carrying the message. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And now a quick word about some of the other shows participating in It's a Wonderful Christmas Podcast Day. First off, I want to start with the Cozy Christmas Podcast. They're taking a look at Merry Christmas, George Bailey, a televised version of the stage production of the radio adaptation of the movie. I mentioned that first because Jimmy Hawkins produced that for PBS, so it's a natural tie-in. But we've got lots of shows exploring lots of things. The Advent Calendar House is doing an episode of Psych called The Polarizing Express, which is, as you may guess, a takeoff on It's a Wonderful Life. Closer to Christmas is doing an episode of Garfield and Friends called It's a Wonderful Wade. Totally Rad Christmas is doing SCTV It's a Wonderful Film Parts 1 and 2. TGI Podcast is doing That 70s Show, It's a Wonderful Life. Tis the Soundtrack is talking about the It's a Wonderful Life Gonna Have a Good Time EP by Fishbone. Mary Britsmas is talking about Basil Brush, It's a Wonderful Brush. Christmas Every Day is doing the Lux Radio Theater version of It's a Wonderful Life. And Lost Christmas is doing The Greatest Gift, the story that inspired It's a Wonderful Life. You can find links to all those shows in the show notes of this episode at can'twaitforchristmaspod.com. And now we'll move on to our second feature today. We have a tradition on this show where every November we celebrate the Muppets. We call it Muppetvember. Also this year is the 10th anniversary of this podcast, and we're celebrating it by covering other big anniversaries this year. As it so happens, our friends the Muppets are celebrating 70 years this year. So, when we decided to do the It's a Wonderful Life theme for Christmas Podcast Day this year, Mike from the Advent Calendar Podcast suggested I talk about the Muppet version of this story. It's a very merry Muppet Christmas movie.
The Muppets are back in the all-new It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
Join the party as they take on everyone's favorite movies, Muppet style.
Come and get me, boys!
So if you're feeling plucky, our chickens are just ducky at the Moulin Screw.
Will everybody stop singing different songs? I can't remember which one I'm supposed to sing!
It's the hilarious film that proves it's really a wonderful life.
When we pull together, we can do anything, right?
Even if we go broke doing it.
Huh? Gonzo? You're not helping.
It's a very merry Muppet Christmas movie.
Now, typically when I review a movie on this show, I generally assume everyone has seen it. Charlie Brown Christmas, A Muppet Christmas Carol, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But for reasons I'll get into later, this movie is not easily accessible, and I'll wager most people haven't seen it. In fact, I hadn't seen it until I bought a copy to watch for this episode. And even more so, I had never even heard of this movie until 2020, when, during our Muppetvember episode, I did a 5 golden things list of Christmas stories the Muppets should adapt, and I said, hey, I think they should do a version of It's a Wonderful Life. And several of you wrote in and said, they did do a version of It's a Wonderful Life, you just haven't seen it. So I'm going to assume, like me, many of you haven't seen it, so I'm going to briefly recap the plot.
Kermit, what's wrong? Yeah, your gloomy behavior would make us wonder if something bad has happened.
We lost everything.
Oh, you're good. I didn't know you could read people like that.
It starts with the Muppets celebrating at the Muppet Theater, except Kermit, who snaps at Piggy, tells everyone they've lost everything, and walks off into the snow where he sits on a bench, slowly freezing. This gets the attention of Daniel, played by David Arquette, who works in some sort of office where everyone is dressed in white and all the walls and floors are white, and they, I guess, monitor all of Earth from screens, but it's never officially called heaven. He tries to convince his supervisor, William H. Macy, to send an agent to help Kermit, but Macy refuses because bureaucracy. So he goes over his head to see the boss, played by Whoopi Goldberg. They never refer to her as God, but if she's the boss of this heaven office, then it's safe to make the assumption that that's who they mean for her to be. Daniel explains to the boss why they need to help Kermit by showing her and us the events of his life over the last couple days.
Well, Danny L., do we have an appointment?
No. But this is an emergency. It's about Kermit the Frog.
Listen, I don't worry about him. He always does the right thing.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid that if you don't help him, he may never do the right thing again.
So he punches up a visual to show the boss, which looks suspiciously like a graphic from a DVD extra, but he rewinds a couple days, and we see that Gonzo has hired an eccentric French choreographer, played by a very over-the-top Matthew Lillard, to choreograph the opening number to the Muppet Christmas Show. Unfortunately, it is a crazy number, even by Muppet standards, and they are forced to find a new opening number days before the show. Then we meet Rachel Bitterman, played by Joan Cusack, who says she will foreclose on the Muppet Theater on Christmas Eve if they don't pay her what they owe. Pepe leaves the Muppets to work for Bitterman because she pays better, and Pepe is super into her.
Ma'am, I went to work for Money's instead of Stardust, okay? Just had to let you know.
Oh, but what about our dream, Pepe?
Carmen, I must think of Ricky Martin and his dream to salsa with Pepe. And she's hot.
Kermit asks Dr. Bunsen Honeydew to figure out how they can pay what they owe with only the money from their Christmas Eve show and not the week of shows they planned afterwards. Bunsen says if they sell out the theater and don't take any salaries for a year, they can do it. The Muppets decide to pull together and do just that. Kermit goes on Carson Daly's show to promote it, and they sell out. They make the money they need, but meanwhile, Pepe overhears Bitterman say that she's going to change the contract so the Muppets have to pay by 6 p.m. instead of midnight, so she can foreclose on the Muppet Theater and turn it into a trendy nightclub. Pepe runs back to the Muppets to warn them while they are putting on the show. They realize someone has to take the money to Bitterman during the show instead of after the show. Fozzie volunteers so that Kermit doesn't have to abandon the show. Through a combination of wacky circumstances and roadblocks thrown up by Bitterman, Fozzie loses the money and misses the 6 p.m. deadline. Kermit goes out to look for Fozzie and finds out they've lost the Muppet Theater. Then we're back to where we saw Kermit at the beginning of the movie. After seeing all this, the big boss sends Danny down to Earth to help Kermit. But Kermit thinks everyone would have been better off without him, and he says the magic words, "I wish I'd never been born." So then Danny shows Kermit a world where he was never born. Gonzo is a homeless street musician begging for money in a mall. The Muppet Theater is the nightclub that Bitterman was talking about replacing it with earlier, where Scooter is dancing in a cage, Bunsen Honeydew is the doorman, and Beaker is an oddly jacked bouncer.
Wait a second. Beaker, you're all swollen. Could we talk about this?
Fozzie is a pickpocket, and Miss Piggy is a failed actress who works on a psychic phone line. After seeing all of this, Kermit realizes he doesn't want to live in a world where he was never born, so Daniel sends him home, and he says it doesn't matter if they lose the theater because they have each other. Bitterman shows up to take the theater and picks a fight with Miss Piggy.
This little piggy's feeling brave.
And this little piggy's going to kick your skinny, banking butt!
Oh, skinny. Thank you. It's too bad I can't say the same for you, Miss Porky.
Porky! Here it comes. That does it!
Suddenly Pepe shows up, and it turns out he went to the city with the money that Bitterman had paid him and convinced them to mark the theater as a historical landmark. So the theater is saved and all ends happily.
Wow, Pepe, that was brave and selfless.
See, it was. But when you can help friends and get revenge on enemies, isn't that what Christmas is all about, okay?
So this movie was both a first and a last for the Muppets. Premiering on NBC November 29th, 2002, this was the last Muppet movie before the Muppets were bought by Disney. And this was the first Muppet movie where Muppeteer Frank Oz was no longer in the Muppet Company. He didn't voice his usual characters like Fozzie, Piggy, Animal, or Sam Eagle. Eric Jacobson took over the roles of Fozzie, Piggy, and Animal for this movie, and Kevin Nash, who famously performed Elmo, did Sam Eagle, but that role would be performed by Jacobson in future Muppet projects. It was also the first time Kirk Thatcher directed a Muppet feature. He'd been working with the Henson Company for a while. He co-wrote 1996's Muppet Treasure Island, and he did second unit direction on the last Muppet feature film before this one, 1999's Muppets from Space. He would go on to direct Muppet Haunted Mansion for Disney Plus in 2021. And I know Halloween is over, but if you haven't seen it and you are a Muppets or Haunted Mansion fan, I highly recommend it. If you are both, you're going to be in Haunted Muppet Mansion heaven. Not literally. But back to A Very Muppet Christmas. The fact that this movie wasn't made by Disney is why it's hard to find. It was made by NBC, which is owned by NBC Universal, with characters that are now owned by Disney, yet it's somehow neither on Peacock nor Disney+. I had to buy the physical Blu-ray in order to watch it. While this movie is mainly an interpretation of It's a Wonderful Life, they also throw in references to a bunch of other movies and specials, both Christmas and non-Christmas related. Right at the beginning, we see a snowman voiced by Mel Brooks, who is so clearly a reference to the Rankin Bass Rudolph special that he's even called a Burl Ives wannabe.
Why, if I live to be 102, I'll never forget the year that the Muppets almost missed Christmas. And I see Storm in, and
Hey, buddy, what are you doing? We're trying to make a movie over here.
Why, I'm Joe Snow, your affable, good-natured narrator.
Snowman narrator? We don't have no snowman narrator. Now get out of shot, you Burl Ives wannabe.
No snowman narrator?
Then they do a Gift to the Magi parody when we first see the Muppets. Rizzo sells his rare cheese collection to get Gonzo a crystal petri dish for his mold collection, but Gonzo sells his mold collection to get Rizzo a diamond-tipped cheese slicer. Then Beaker sells his periodic table, signed by Stephen Hawking, to get Dr. Bunsen Honeydew a stand for his electron microscope. But Honeydew has sold his electron microscope to get Beaker mutagenic elements that makes Beaker grow a second head. Then, thanks to the rule of threes, we get one final gift of the Magi bit between Sal and Johnny.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Johnny, my best friend in the whole wide world, I sold my moped to buy you this solid gold racket player.
Well, thanks, Sal. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Great gag. Speaking of gags, there's this running gag throughout the movie with this frog kid who has his tongue stuck to a pole after he was triple frog dared to lick it. A clear reference to A Christmas Story.
I dare you.
I double dare you.
I triple frog dare ya.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, you gotta do it.
Yeah. Oh.
See it, look.
Well, good luck with that.
I'm stuck! Guys, don't leave me! I'm stuck!
When the rest of the Muppets agree to work for no money, Piggy instead takes a role on a TV show. It turns out that role is just playing a dead body on the show Scrubs. But in order to do this, they got almost the entire cast of Scrubs to film for this movie.
I think I'm feeling better. The shucky things worked. I'm alive.
No, you're dead.
No, I'm alive.
No, you're dead.
I'm alive. It's a miracle.
Cut. Cut.
What do you think you're doing?
It's called acting, sweetie.
You're an extra.
You're supposed to be a dead body.
Then, the Christmas movie that the Muppets put on is a parody of the movie Moulin Rouge called Moulin Scrooge.
There was a frog, a very strange, enchanted frog.
And he came to France where the ladies can dance to the Moulin Scrooge where our story starts for you.
When Fozzie is trying to get the money to Bitterman, he gets sidelined by an Australian guy who is clearly supposed to be the crocodile hunter. In fact, I guess Steve Irwin was gonna actually play the part himself, but he was busy filming his own movie.
Crikey! You're a bear! Oh, I'm gonna have to tranquilize him, because bears get a tad cranky when they get a bit stressed.
This Australian dude chases Fozzie around, and Fozzie ends up getting painted green and mistaken for that guy who stole Christmas by some folks who look an awful lot like the Who's from the Jim Carrey Grinch movie.
Look! It's him! What? That green guy who stole Christmas and ruined all our wishes. I'm Nancy Netwood from Woodville, you see. And you've made me and Uncle Nicky quite angry. He'll make sure you don't steal Christmas again by making you feel some serious pain.
Let's get him! And... I can't rhyme.
When Daniel first tries to show Kermit a world where he was never born, they end up in a world with a Muppet who we only see from behind, but who looks and sounds an awful lot like Yoda.
Not ready is he. There is no try, only do.
Wrong world.
Ironically, since this was the first Muppet movie without Frank Oz, Eric Jacobson had to voice his character instead of Yoda's actual voice. When we finally get to the world where Kermit was never born, he sees in a mall food court a Doc Hopper's frog legs. This is a reference to the villain in the Muppet movie. Apparently, without Kermit, he succeeded in making a frog leg fast food chain. And that was all the direct references and homages I caught, but this film also has some controversy. The first one is just a really unfortunate set of circumstances. As I mentioned, this movie came out in 2002, so pre-production and some production was happening in 2001. Well, something major happened in America in September of 2001, the 9/11 attacks that, among other things, destroyed the World Trade Center in New York. Why would I bring that up in a lighthearted discussion of a Muppet Christmas movie, I can hear you asking? Well, it's because some of the set designs were made before this tragedy occurred, and it's relevant because the movie takes place in New York. And when Kermit goes to see Piggy in the timeline where he was never born, we get a brief scene where we can see the New York skyline out of her apartment window. And the Twin Towers are still standing. Now, because the internet is tragically and chronically unserious, this has led to conspiracy theories online that somehow Kermit caused 9/11. It's preposterous on its face, but I really hate the way people phrase it. Like, it's Muppet canon that somehow Kermit caused blah blah blah. Here's the thing, I don't know if this movie is canon. And that brings me to the second and way less depressing controversy. The Muppets made a very similar movie to this 9 years later. In 2011, the Muppets made their triumphant return to the big screen with a movie creatively titled The Muppets.
Kermit! We have our celebrity! Mr. Jack Black has graciously agreed to do the telethon!
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Where is he?
In the trunk.
Get out of here! You kidnapped Jack Black? That's illegal.
But Kermit, what's more illegal? Briefly inconveniencing Jack Black or destroying the Muppets?
Kidnapping Jack Black, Fozzie!
And save the elements about It's a Wonderful Life, that movie shares a lot of plot elements with this movie. In both movies, the Muppet Theater is going to fall into the hands of a bad guy who exploits the contract to kick the Muppets out so they can demolish the theater and turn it into something else. In both movies, the Muppets put on a big show to raise money to save the theater, and despite things looking good, they ultimately fail to raise the money. Spoilers, by the way. Both movies recreated the sets from the old Muppet Show. In fact, when Disney bought the Muppets, the set from A Very Muppet Christmas was still standing. But Disney didn't want to pay to save it, so it was trash, and they had to rebuild it again for the 2011 movie. And there are more oddly specific similarities. In both movies, Piggy is not going to be in the show, and the other Muppets have to convince Kermit to bring her back. In both movies, we get a scene where we watch Kermit try and fail to get a big celebrity to do the show by calling a bunch of his celebrity contacts. In both movies, a Muppet who was working with the bad guy has a change of heart by the end and helps the Muppets. In this movie, it's Pepe. In the 2011 movie, it's Uncle Deadly. In both movies, the Muppets sing a version of Smells Like Teen Spirit in their show.
Where'd you come from? Hey, this is my big number!
Wait a minute. What are you doing?
With the lights out. Here we are now. Entertaining.
You're ruining one of the greatest songs of all time!
Also, Whoopi Goldberg is in both movies. I'm not trying to diss the 2011 Muppet movie. In fact, I really like it, and I just showed it to my boys earlier this year. More on that later. But, as the meme goes,
if I had a nickel for every time the Muppets made a movie where they try and fail to raise enough money to stop someone from destroying the Muppet Theater, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
But back to my issues with the conspiracy nuts calling this movie official Muppet canon. Is it though? Because in this movie, the Muppet Theater is in New York, but in the 2011 Muppets, the theater is in Los Angeles. Which one is right? Well, in the Muppet movie, Kermit and his friends aren't headed to New York, they're headed to LA. Therefore, it's reasonable to conclude that the Muppet Theater would not be in New York, and this movie is not Muppet canon. It's just some Elseworlds, what-if, multiverse type stuff that we can just enjoy. And I did enjoy this movie, though it's not without its flaws. First off, the title is too generic and doesn't really give a sense of what the movie is about. Apparently, they almost called this movie It's a Wonderful Frog, which I think would have been a much better title. Also, they cut 20 minutes from this movie. There was a whole subplot about a Santa they hired for their show, but he turned out to be the real Santa, so he had to leave. I think they were shooting for a Miracle on 34th Street parody, but I can't imagine stuffing any more into this movie. There were a few times when I was checking my watch during this. Like the sequence where Fozzie is trying to get the money to Bitterman. He goes through a lot. He gets chased by the faux crocodile hunter, he gets painted green and then confused for the Grinch and chased by the off-brand Who's. He accidentally smacks into a Salvation Army Santa and subsequently swaps his sack of money for Santa's sack of donations, before finally getting the green washed off and making it to Bitterman's. But it's not over yet. Once he's at Bitterman's, there's a receptionist who's hard of hearing that stalls him in the lobby for a while. Once Fozzie makes it past front desk guy, Bitterman activates a laser grid. Since Fozzie can't get around it, he just forces himself to walk through it and gets zapped the whole way. Once he gets to the other side, he realizes he left the bag of money on the other side of the lasers. So he has to get zapped by going back through the lasers to get the bag, and then zapped again going back through the lasers with the bag. This does a good job of making me feel bad for Fozzie, how hard he's working and how he can't catch a break. But that sequence does drag on. Part of it is the horrible crocodile hunter impression that goes way too long. Like if they'd gotten Steve Irwin, that'd have been a whole other thing. But this one-note impression of him wears out its welcome pretty quick. And then it just feels like too many things keep happening. I'm like, let this bear get to the bank already! Then there's the Moulin Rouge parody. I know it was a pretty popular movie in 2002, and Moulin Rouge is the exact kind of flashy, stylistic thing that the Muppets do the best send-ups of. But I had forgotten all about this movie by 2025. There's no way the Muppets could have known this at the time, but nowadays, Moulin Rouge is not the timeless classic that's on everybody's watch list. I only realized how good a parody it was when I went to Google Smells Like Teen Spirit Moulin Rouge. But I would say most of my issues with this movie are with the non-Muppets. A great human performance in a Muppet movie must follow the Caine Curry rule. You either play it totally straight like Michael Caine in Muppet Christmas Carol, or you chew the scenery like you're a Muppet yourself as Tim Curry did in Muppet Treasure Island. There are other great examples like Charles Grodin in The Great Muppet Paper. He goes over the top and makes it work. And Juliana Donald plays a very sincere and earnest Jenny to the Muppets in Muppets Take Manhattan, and it really works to have her steady performance for the Muppets to bounce off of. In this movie, I don't know if anybody really hit either the Caine or Curry sweet spot. Joan Cusack comes off the best. She's playing the villain and really going toe-to-toe with the Muppets on their level, although director Kirk Thatcher said she felt a little out of her element. Here's his quote. There's a couple of moments where I said, you can go bigger, bigger. She just looked at me like, are you crazy? And I said, you're playing against puppets. So she does this big thing where she throws her hands up and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, that's great.
Ms. Bitterman, why can't you understand what this theater means to us? It's our dream.
Your dream? Please. I mean, you can't eat a dream. You can't sell watered-down drinks from a dream. You can't be the queen of a Polynesian tribe in a dream. Oh, wait, yes you can. Forget that last one.
David Arquette, however, kind of hovers between understated performance and over-the-top goofball. Doesn't really work for me, which is a shame, because I know he was really excited to do this and just really hyped to work with the Muppets. Poor Whoopi Goldberg never has any scenes with the Muppets. Only with David, and those scenes really dragged for me. But playing God is a no-win scenario. Interesting characters have flaws, but by definition, God can't have flaws. So either God ends up being a boring character, or it feels like you're not seeing God. This seemed like the latter, although, to be fair, she's never referenced as God. Then there's Matthew Lillard's French character. Okay, there's Tim Curry over the top, there's Jim Carrey over the top, then there's whatever Matthew is doing in this. It turns out you can be too over the top, even in a Muppet movie.
Cirque du Soleil? I don't think we want the word lame in the title.
It is not lame. You are lame. It is lame. Lame, like the shiny fabric.
Okay, lame.
Right. Un, deux, trois. Let the magic begin.
It's not helped by the fact that his scenes are completely unnecessary to the story. Like, the whole bit is about how he's designed the opening number for the Christmas show, and then Kermit doesn't like it, so they scrap it. But that element is never brought back into the story. Like, it's never important that they lost the opening number. Like, there's no point where that needs to come back in order to service the story. So you could have just cut straight to Bitterman coming in and demanding her money. In fact, I'd wager they only kept this in because Matthew Lillard is a big star. Then there's the whole thing where they figure out how to earn enough money to save the theater. I know this is a Muppet movie, and it's not that deep, but the math doesn't make sense. Somehow, to get enough money from one show, the Muppets have to work for free for a whole year? How does Scooter, not getting a paycheck next May, put any more money in anyone's pocket on Christmas Eve? Also, they make it sound like they have to use only the revenue from the Christmas Eve show, but they said something like a week of shows are scheduled. Are you telling me no one bought their tickets in advance? You have that money if they've already bought their tickets. Like when a new Marvel movie comes out, I buy my tickets the very first day they go on sale, usually a month in advance. They should just pre-sell some shows after the holidays and use that money. But hey, I didn't bring this movie here just to point out the parts I don't like. There are plenty of parts that I loved. Take the scene where Kermit says he wishes he'd never been born. I think it's pretty amazing that they are able to take such a down moment for the character and turn it into such a funny scene. The Kermit character is at his lowest right here, but his frantic outbursts are just so funny to me.
My friends would be better off without me, that's what I know.
What? That is not true.
Yeah, it's true, it is true. In fact, I've ruined their lives, and I wish I'd never been born.
Oh, no. You did not just say that. You did not just say that.
I did just say it. I said, I wish I'd never been born.
What am I supposed to do now?
I wish I'd never been born. There, I said it again. I wish I'd never been B-O-R-N born. I wish I'd never been born.
Chapter 12, paragraph 2. If the subject tells the field agent that he had wished he'd never been born,
psst, psst, come close. I wish I'd never been born.
Then the field agent is required to adjust the world accordingly.
Yeah, do whatever you like, because, did I mention, I wish I had never been born!
I will say that It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie does one thing better than It's a Wonderful Life. In the original, Old Man Potter receives no comeuppance. In fact, he keeps the $8,000 that he effectively stole from the building and loan. But the Potter stand-in, Joan Cusack's Bitterman, gets a headbutt from Miss Piggy, and we watch her storm off in a huff when she learns she can't turn the Muppet Theater into a nightclub like she wanted. That is much more satisfying. I would have loved to see Mary ball up her fist and crack old Mr. Potter right in the mush one time. I know, that's not the kind of movie Frank Capra was making. I'm just saying, I would have liked it. And although we don't get a ton of Gonzo in this movie, in the alternate timeline, he does perform a song about how miserable he is on Christmas that I found very touching. Gonzo is usually not fazed by much of anything, so to see him truly down really hits hard.
I feel so small and useless, ambiguous and clueless. I just can't seem to get anything right. I feel so invisible tonight.
Thankfully, Kermit shows up to lift his spirits and guide the song into the theme of the movie, Everyone Matters, but I found Gonzo's part of the song and his performance very compelling. I also like may be the wrong word here because it's actually awful for poor Fozzie, but I appreciate his trials and tribulations trying to get the money to Bitterman on time. Yes, I know I just said a little bit ago I thought the sequence dragged on too long, but I am nothing if not layered in my opinions. See, a lot of times in these types of movies, when a character has to fail at something for the plot to move along, they make the character make a stupid choice. Like earlier in the movie where Pepe is trying to tell Kermit that Bitterman changed the contract, it takes forever because Pepe keeps saying things that aren't the information that Kermit needs to hear. So he keeps getting interrupted, and I just keep getting frustrated, yelling, "Just say it, Pepe!" at the TV.
Kermit, I must warn you, okay? Oh, Dios mío.
Gee, Pepe, shouldn't you be in Florida with Ricky Martin?
No. Listen, because the words I'm about to say are very important, okay?
Just say it, I'm listening.
You're listening?
I'm listening.
You're sure? Because this is very big, okay?
Pepe, the show's about to start.
Okay. First of all, she cheats on me with another man. Okay? And then the dollhouse, you know the dollhouse?
Yeah.
It's not the dollhouse. It's a nightclub. It's a nightclub.
But Fozzie is really trying his best through that whole sequence. He is trying to get that money to Bitterman on time. It's just the circumstances that are stopping him. The only thing you might blame him for is when he forces himself through the laser grid only to realize he left the bag of money on the other side, so he has to go back and get it. But even then, we already know he accidentally and unknowingly switched bags with the Salvation Army Santa before he even entered the building, so the bag is a moot point. But you really feel for Fozzie and how devastated he is when he fails. He can't even look Kermit in the eye. Then he and Kermit have a scene where they are trying to retrace Fozzie's steps and find the money, and he tries to explain it to Kermit, but Kermit doesn't believe him.
Oh, think, Fozzie, think.
I'm trying.
What happened to you after you left the theater?
Well, first the crazy Australian tried to shoot me with his blowgun. Then I got painted green so people thought I stole Christmas. Then I ran through a steam bath and got burned by a bunch of lasers.
Fozzie, there's no time for your stories. This is serious. Now, was it ever out of your hands?
No. Oh, wait. Maybe for a second when I bumped into Santa and his army.
Fozzie, do you realize that if we don't find this money, we'll have lost everything we've worked for? Just keep looking.
Does it help that I feel really badly?
It does a great job of showing how unhinged Kermit has become and how sad Fozzie is. I have to say it's a lot to put on Eric Jacobson's first major outing taking over for Frank Oz, but I think he did great. While we're on the topic of the money, I like that the missing money goes to the Salvation Army instead of to the bad guy. I am concerned about how the Muppets are going to live with no salaries for a whole year, but I assume they'll figure something out. At least they saved the theater. And that brings us to another thing that is not the movie's fault, but makes it bittersweet for me. Like I mentioned, I recently showed my boys the 2011 Muppet movie, and then I just watched this, and in both instances, they saved the Muppet Theater. But in real life, the Muppets lost their theater this year. One of the very last Muppet projects Jim Henson worked on before he passed away was the Disney attraction called Muppet Vision 3D. It, too, was a recreation of the Muppet Theater from The Muppet Show that you could go to and experience a Muppet Show for yourself, complete with Statler and Waldorf in their box seats heckling the whole time.
Hey, Waldorf, what are we going to see in here anyway?
It's one of those 3D movies. Put on your glasses, Statler.
Yeah. Hey, look! Look at the guy in the goofy mask!
That's not a mask.
Oh. Sorry, lady!
Last year, around this time, Disney announced that they would be closing this attraction permanently. And in June of this year, they did just that. And unlike these movies, David Arquette didn't show up to save the day, nobody kidnapped Jack Black to get them to help save the theater, it just closed. In fact, as I record this, they've just removed the Muppet Vision marquee from the building a few days ago. Not to be a downer, but it stinks to be reminded that real life isn't a movie. But I was able to take some solace from Kermit in this movie. When he gets brought back to the proper timeline, he has no idea that Pepe has saved the theater. But he's still happy, because he has his loved ones. He has what's important. The theater is just a place.
But why are you so happy? We just lost everything.
I'll tell you why I'm happy, folks. Because tonight, I realize that it's not that horrible that we lost the theater.
Well, that's good, because we lost it.
And in the end, just like Jimmy Hawkins was saying earlier, that's the important message of It's a Wonderful Life, and every adaptation or interpretation of it that's come since, including It's a Very Muppet Christmas Movie. No matter how down you may feel, or what mistakes you have made, or whatever has you struggling, you should stick around because you've made life better for people, even if you don't know it. The world is better off with you here. Or, to put it another way, everyone matters.
Everyone matters. Everyone matters. The world would be so different if there never was a me.
Even you, even me, you and me.
And that's our show. But before we go, I'd like to say another very special thank you to Jimmy Hawkins for joining us for this special Christmas Podcast Day salute to It's a Wonderful Life. Remember, his book, The Heart of It's a Wonderful Life, is available now. Speaking of books with cool authors, if you jump straight to this episode without listening to our October episode, do yourself a favor and go back and listen. We had film critic Alonso Duralde on, and we were talking contemporary Christmas movies to celebrate his new book, Have Yourself a Movie Little Christmas, Revised and Updated Edition. Speaking of more things to check out, there's all the other Christmas Podcast Day episodes out today, and I put links in the show notes. Now, depending on what time you've downloaded this, you'll have different links. If you got this first thing, I'll have links to the different shows' general web pages. But if you downloaded this later in the day, I'll have specific links to each show's Christmas Podcast Day episode. So if you want the updated links, you can just go to your podcatcher and re-download this episode, and I think that'll update the show notes. And I promise, this is not a ploy to increase my download numbers because I honestly don't track them. But what I'm about to say is a ploy to get you to come back for our November 25th episode. We've got another special guest coming up. Segi Isho from the phenomenal a cappella group Straight No Chaser will be joining us to talk about their new album and new tour, both called Holiday Road. Plus, I've been hyping it up since July, and it's finally happening. Part 1 of our sequel to our made-for-podcast Christmas movie, A Bomb for Christmas 2, Past, Present, and Future, will be on our November 25th episode as well. Which means I've got some editing to do, so I'll sign off for now. But until next time, Yule Believers, keep laughing all the way.
And that was Christmas 1983.
Actually, Dad, it's 2025.
Oh.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, aka iTunes, and email us about it at christmas@tancast.com, we'll send you a free Can't Wait for Christmas sticker. If you'd like to see the show notes or leave a comment on this or any other episodes, you can go to our official website, can'twaitforchristmaspod.com. While you're there, you'll find a link to our official Zazzle store, where you can grab customizable t-shirts, ornaments, stickers, and all sorts of other Christmas-themed items all year long. We'd love to connect with you on social media. On Blue Sky, we are at Christmas Pod, and on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, we are at Can't Wait for Christmas Pod. We Wish You a Merry Christmas was performed by the United States Marine Corps Band, and this amazing version of Jingle Bells on the accordion was performed by the wonderful and talented Christian Nowicki. All other music and sounds used in this episode are the properties of their individual copyright holders, and they are used for purposes of commentary and review. No infringement is intended. Okay, boys, did I forget anything?
God bless us, everyone.
Merry Christmas!
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. And again, thank you for the
good luck on the show. I hope they listen to yours and not the others.
I hope they listen to them all, like a rising tide
that's what I'm just
lifts
saying.
all boats.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about. It all means something.
I'm pretty sure I have the best guest star, so...
Oh, little head start, maybe.
So I'll briefly run through the plot. A popcorn kernel loosed itself from betwixt my teeth while I was giving that line, which is why you don't eat popcorn right before you record. That's a tip from a professional podcaster. A professional. Oh boy. Then, the Christmas show that the Muppets put on is a parody of the movie Moulin Rouge called Moulin Scrooge. Why did I say Scrooge instead of Scrooge? When Daniel first tries to show Kermit a world where he was never born, they end up in a world with a Muppet who we only see from behind, but who looks When Daniel first tries to show Kermit a world where he was never born, they end up in a world with a Muppet who When Daniel first tries to show Kermit When Daniel first tries to show Kermit a world where he was never born, they end up in a world with a Muppet who we only see from behind, but who looks and sounds an awful lot like Yoda. That was almost right! I love that this is about Yoda, and in true George Lucas fashion, I have written this sentence in a way that is impossible for me to say it. But, as the meme goes, if I had a nickel for every time the Muppets made a movie where they try and fail to raise enough money to stop someone from destroying the Muppet... Oh, I thought I had that one! I almost made it to the end! They should just pre-sell some shows. Pre-sell some shows. By the seashore? No, I can't! But the Potter stand-in, Joan Cusack's Bitterman, gets a headbutt from Miss Piggy, and we get to watch her storm off in a huff when she learns she can't have the Muppet... No! I keep trying to get ahead of what I've written, and instead of just reading what I've written. Like, Tim, you wrote it down, read it!